Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Udale Śrīmati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadya Visatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadya Visatarine Jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvasati Gaur Bhaktarinda Jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvasati Gaur Bhaktarinda Jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvasati Gaur Bhaktarinda Jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvasati Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Nitai, Nati Sundara, Nitai Sati Sundara, Nitai Sati Sundara, Nitai Sati Sundara, Jaya Nitai Sati Sundara, Nitai Sati Sundara, Nitai Sati Sundara. Jai Shri Nidai Sati Sundara Chigidai Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai Ki Bachayo Oh Chayo Gaura Chande Ara Nikashoba Chayo Chayo Gaura Chande Ara Nikashoba Navitaka Vane Yaga Manalopa Navitaka Vane Yaga Manalopa Rakhi Ame Gadadara Raki Nidai Chan Ame Gadadara Nikate Advaita Srinivasa Chatradara Nikate Advaita Srinivasa Tadradara Vashiyache Gaurachan Radna Simhasane Vashiyache Gaurachan Radna Simhasane Arati Korena Brahma Adi Devagane Arati Korena Brahma Adi Devagane Nara Hariyati Kori Chamarajulaya Nara Hariyati Kori Chamarajulaya Sanchaya Mukunda Vasu Gosha Hatigaya Sanchaya Mukunda Vasu Gosha Hatigaya Shankara Vachiganta Vache Vache Karatala Shankara Vache Ganta Vache Vache Karatala Madhura Midanga Vache Parama Rasala Madhura Midanga Vache Parama Rasala Shanka Vache Ganta Vache Madhur Madhurama Urabate 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 Madhur Madhurama Urabate Madhur Madhurama Urabate Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Bahu Koti Chandra Chini Vadana Ujvala Bahu Koti Chandra Chini Vadana Ujvala Kala Deshevana Mala Kore Chalamala Gala Deshevana Mala Kore Chalamala Shiva Shukhanarada Vime Kathagada Shiva Shukhanarada Vime Kathagada Bhakti Vinodadeke Gaurara Sampada Bhakti Vinodadeke Gaurara Sampada Kiva Chayo Chayo Gaura Chande Arati Ceremony Chayo Chayo Gaura Chande Arati Ceremony Chana Vitata Vani Jagamana Loba Chana Vitata Vani Jagamana Loba Bolo Gaurange Arati Shobha Jaga Janamana Loba 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 Jaga Janamana Loba Jaga Janamana Loba Haribol Gaur Haribol Haribol Gaura Haribol Nitai Gaura Haribol 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 Gaura Haribol Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gaura Nitai 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 Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Nitai Rachi Sundara Nitai Sachi Sundara Nitai Sachi Sundara Jaya Nitai Sachi Sundara Jaya Nitai Sachi Sundara Nitai Sachi Sundara Nitai Sachi Sundara Nitai Sachi Sundara Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jai, Jai Giri Govardhan, Jai, Jai Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Sachi Sundari Ki Jai, Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai, Gaura Premanandi. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Vajakacharya Sadarashadya Shri Shiva. Aisi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Vajakacharya Sadarashadya Shri Shiva. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvasati Gaura Bhaktarinda Ki Jai. Śrī Śrī Radha Krishna Gopa Gopina, Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Śrī Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Śrī Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Śrī Nalvi Mayapādam Ki Jai. Śrī Śrī Nitai Sachi Sundari Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktarinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tino Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurna Pachani Visheshvana Pastita Dikshita. Hari Bol. Welcome Vijay. You want to sing?
Hare
Sing?
Krishna.
Let him sing if he wants to sing. No? Or can I sing?
Yes, just sit here.
Okay.
Simha De Bhagavan Ki Jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Lad Daini. Prahlad Lad Daini. Hiranyakashi
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurana Pratani Visheshu Bhakti Visheshu. Oh, you were very quick to getting your tune in before I can do anything.
No, I made my mind over to sing.
Yes,
I got my
I could
tune
see
in,
that.
but I just
I was a little bit too slow.
yeah, the Vaishakhi, that was the from Vaishakhi Das sings on this tune. Yes, sorry about that. My voice came out on that pitch.
Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari 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 Jaya Gopi Chanavallabha Jaya Giri Radhari Jaya Giri Radhari Jaya Gopi Chanavallabha Jaya Giri Radhari Jaya Giri Radhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jai Pracha Chanarantaya Jai Yashodanandana Jaya Pracha Chanarantaya Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Pracha Chanarantaya Jaya Rashoda Nandana Jaya Braja Janarantana Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanatadi Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanatadi Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava 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 Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Vichai, for coming in today. You're the only one, it looks like, on Zoom. Nevertheless, are you well, Vichai? Vijay, are you well? I hope you're well. Are you well, Vaishnav Mataji?
I am.
Recovered?
Almost.
Yes, almost.
I rested all week.
I didn't even have the chance yet of hoovering here, so it's just about clearing up every day a little bit. It was such a wonderful, wonderful festival last Saturday. It was enormous, wasn't it? It was absolutely beautiful. But it took a lot of energy of everyone. It took a lot of energy of you, with a lot of energy of me, making garlands till 12 o'clock and cannot sleep anymore all night long. And then driving Maharaj is there, and it was very nice. Vijay joined me in Birmingham. We had 2 garlands ready. One was a little bigger, one a little bit shorter, by chance more or less, not exactly. And then Maharajas were supposed to come, and they didn't come, and they didn't come, and didn't come, and I phoned and said, no, we're just getting our luggage, and then we will change dress. Because in France, to be in sannyasa or devotee dress is more difficult than here in England. Anything goes. So many Muslims and this and Sikh and what and all kind of weird dresses, everyone. So we as devotees being dressed in our dhoti with tilak, it just doesn't stand out at all. In France or Germany, yes, it stands out very much. People will just stare at you. Because they have never seen anything like that. Then they came, and later on asked, where did you change? Bathroom? No, bathroom. We found a quiet corner in the airport. Devotees can do anything, yes. Quiet airport, and just dhoti around, and quite simple, straightforward. And then they came, and I said to Vijay, just watch in the direction where the people coming out. If you see some saffron and shining effulgence, there are, and they were very effulgent, standing out, lots of effulgence in the saffron from far away. They didn't even see us yet, but we could spot them from far away. And then they came out, and we garlanding them. Rituan Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, and Amrita Rate. Welcome. Just explaining what happened on last week. We're just about recovering from last week, and then the Sunday also, that took quite some energy. I had we drove partly motorway, partly smaller roads. We didn't take too long, and certainly we didn't take 5 hours return, Prabhu. We took an hour, a little bit over an hour, but the road wasn't really what I'm looked for. On the way back from your program, Rituan Prabhu, I was for 10-15 minutes, small roads, and then I was suddenly on the M1. That's the way, and then the M1 straight motorway up till Leicester exit 21. That was beautiful. So next time I know, whatever the sat-nav shows me for Derby, go on the M1, and from there everything will automatically work out. So, yes, that was best. And yes, I haven't even... Really... Yes? Say it again?
Yeah, that was really good then. The return journey, straight.
Yes, it was an easy drive back. Easy. Most easy. Very nice. I haven't been able to clear up everything all week long. It was a battlefield here. Yes, and Maharaj really liked your prasadam, Vaishnava Kishori Madachin. He liked everything here. Very, very nice.
I feel bad actually. I wanted to put those crowns on.
No, well, we want to put so many more things, but I mean, one time constraints and everything. I was just listening today to the class when Maharaj was here first time. Because while he was here, and I couldn't really understand everything clearly, but listening very concentrated to the recording, that was a beautiful class. I mean, very rarely you hear such glorification of Śrīla Prabhupāda. It was.
Did you get the end bit where the question and answer session was with Maharaj?
I don't know.
Because that's what I was after.
Okay.
I had asked him a question.
Okay. Yes. But that talk was absolutely very, very beautiful. I will make that available in the next few days. I have it as an audio recording only, and I asked Govinda Maharaj if he has a video recording. Yes, he had a video recording in portrait mode for mobile. I have to listen through it. And then it's amazing how what he talked about Śrīla Prabhupada, it's so resonating within my heart. That deep faith and surrender to Śrīla Prabhupada is completely resonating. It almost appears, I was thinking today, it almost appears like that mood out of my heart suddenly manifests externally as Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami from nowhere. From nowhere. He spoke my mind, he spoke my heart when he gave this class. And then I didn't hear that at the class. We're talking the first visit. I didn't hear, but when I listened to the recordings, and he mentioned Senapati Bhakta. Senapati Bhakta. Śrīla Prabhupāda, in a fleeting, Senapati Bhakta. And that's one of my favorite quotes, Senapati Bhakta, by Govinda Dasi. And the prediction that Lord Krishna says, I will send Ganga Devi at the Lord going back to his abode. 5,000 years ago, Krishna is winding down his pastimes. And then Ganga Devi says, oh my Lord, what shall happen to us here when you're not there anymore? How so many people, sinful people, will bathe in my waters, and I have to carry all that sinful reactions. And so then Krishna says, don't you worry, Ganga Devi. I will appear in the Kali Yuga. I will send my Senapati Bhakta, my military field commander, and he with a chopper of the holy name, he will cut all sinful activities down, and then devotees from all over the world, because my Senapati Bhakta, he will travel all over the world and spreading Krishna consciousness. Of course, that is Śrīla Prabhupāda. It's not mentioned explicitly, but we understand that is Śrīla Prabhupāda. And then the devotees will go to Navadvip, Mayapur, and bathe in your waters, and then all these sinful activities which people depose in you, they will be purified by their presence. So that's that nice quote, and the other quote is, of course, for 10,000 years. I just heard a memory of Śrīla Prabhupāda the other day. Who was it? I forgot. One Śrīla Prabhupada disciple, in his Diksha disciple, he spoke of that Śrīla Prabhupada was questioned this Bhaktivedanta purports. They're so nicely composed. They are going to the heart of everybody. And Śrīla Prabhupada said, yes, I think of every single word, how to put it. For the next 10,000 years, people can understand it. Because this Krishna consciousness will be prominent. These books, we said also, these books will be the law books for the next 10,000 years. It's not such a long time. It appears long, 10,000 years, but Kali Yuga is going for 127,000 years from now on. So the law books, and for the next 10,000 years. So that's the other wonderful quote. So in any case, that I make that class available to you. Listen to it again. It's very rarely, even in temples all over, very rarely such a wonderful glorification of Śrīla Prabhupāda I have very rarely heard. From the heart. Very, very nice. So then we had that beautiful program at Giridhari Gunj. Where's Giridhari Gunj? In Derby, Rituan Prabhuji and Amrita Rati Mataji. And it was a very nice program there as well. Very nice.
The children did well. The children playing the piano, I heard that.
Yes, and quite a good turnout. So where we met Harry.
Yes.
And he said it's not a problem to come to Leicester, but he hasn't seen my message yet. He will come, perhaps next time. He was there on Wednesday, asking intelligent questions. And his attitude seems right. Very referential, very, yes, Prabhu, and very a good degree of humility. So that will help him a great, great deal. So we had that program, and in the kitchen was also a battlefield like here. Everybody, Amrita Radhe's mother was making wonderful preparations. Wonderful preparations. And Rituan was there also cooking for Maharaj. So, I don't know, everybody was doing something. And it all came together, and then we respected prasadam together. And it was very, very nice program. Thank you, Rituan Prabhu, for making all these arrangements. And of course, I forgot to bring the harmonium, and I forgot to bring lots of bunches of flowers left. But you took nicely the flowers for the Arati tonight. Good. So, and a beautiful talk of Maharaj as well.
Thank you.
On Hanuman Jayanti, right?
Yes, Hanuman Jayanti.
And Amrita Radhe's father, we had some nice discussion. And I had some nice discussion with Padmanabh. He had birthday. I kind of regret that I didn't get a piece of that birthday cake, but on the other hand, I'm very happy I didn't, because I have to also go a bit on a diet. Maharaj inspires me to, I have to cut the sugar out for sure, totally. Salt, more or less. Oil, fat, more or less. So we'll see. I have to work out something. I have to lose some weight, and it works for Maharaj. So if it works for him, so perhaps it works for me as well. So, okay, that was a weekend, and now we have recovered more or less, and let's...
Thanks to Harish Bhai and Pragnesh Bhai, we had Prashad later, but they helped out a lot.
Yes, very good. Let's have a look on the Bhagavad Gītā verse. I will screen share that. We'll take the next verse after Wednesday. So maybe Rituan Prabhu, you can do the invocation and the verse. How is that?
Yes, Prabhuji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Yatha Deepo Nivatastu Ningati Sapamashmita
Nengate Sapama Smritya
Yogino Yatha Chityasya
Yogino Yata Chittasya
Yunjato Yogam Atmanaha.
Yunchato Yogam Atmana. Translation.
Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. As a lamp in the windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. A truly Krishna conscious person, always absorbed in transcendence, its constant undisturbed meditation on his worshipable Lord is as steady as a lamp in a windless place. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Amagyanathi Mirandasya Kananchana Shalakaya Jakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Śrī Caitanya Manopishtam Stābitam Yena Bhutale Takaramaya Samsam Tatsanti Sapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddhapadakaram Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrachatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sachivam Satvaitam Savatutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Caitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shibhishakanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagadapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanda Namostute Dapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpata Rupesha Kripa Sindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvasati Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And the translation again. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. What a beautiful, poetic example. In a windless place, a lamp is just steady. The flame is just steady. It doesn't move. A little bit of wind, the flame is moving. So the yogi, because we are still in the yoga chapter, the yogi, by his strength of yoga practice or Krishna consciousness, the devotee, that the mind is just fixed on Krishna's lotus feet and it doesn't waver. In material consciousness, the mind is wavering all the time. Right, left, everywhere. Everybody's mind is so much disturbed. The mind 1 minute accepting something as good and the next minute the same thing is rejected as bad. No, in the material mind is not our friend. It takes us to the deepest region of ignorance because the mind likes to enjoy. All enjoyment is in the mind. It's not in the eyes or ears or on the tongue. It's in the mind. Without the mind, there's no enjoyment. And the mind also, without even being, the senses being in contact with the sense objects, the mind in itself, he likes to enjoy. He likes to imagine some situations. They're not real. They're daydreaming or night dreaming also. Some situations of sense gratification. And the mind enjoys like that. Even when the eyes are closed and so, that mind we cannot trust. But if the mind is controlled and the easy process of Krishna consciousness or Bhakti yoga, that the mind is otherwise engaged constantly, and the mind is happy because that other engagement is a higher happiness and pleasures and the engagement in the material energy. So that engagement in the material energy that gives a very quick bit of some sensation and then it all turns into disappointment. But if the mind is engaged in Krishna consciousness, thinking of Krishna, hearing about Krishna, speaking about Krishna, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Patasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So many ways the mind can be engaged, and then there is no disappointment after. Never, ever being engaged in Krishna conscious meditation. And I'm saying that from my personal experience, and from the Shastra we know that, but also from personal experience. When we engage in Krishna consciousness, there is never, ever disappointment. Not even once. But if we bring our material conception into Krishna consciousness, then there will be disappointment also. So a devotee's mind is always engaged. Manmana bhavamat bhakto, always think of me, always engaged. If the mind is idle and not engaged, then immediately the material energy is there and, hello, I'm here, turn towards me. So if there is a gap in our Krishna consciousness, that gap is immediately filled by the material energy. It's just like water. If there's a gap somewhere, the water gets in easily. So we don't want to give a gap, so we want to keep the mind always engaged. We don't have to live in the temple. That is not practical. Not everybody can live in the temple. Of course, in the temple there are so many wonderful activities all the time, and I have seen that when we were in France, in Rouen, at the Radha Kripa mission. Devotees were always engaged, always doing something here, something there, deity worship, many sets of deities. And I was amazed in the upper room with Śrīla Prabhupāda's Murti and Tulsi Devi and big Giriraj there. There was one Mataji with a whisker. She dusted around Tulsi Devi, that little, or rather quite large platform. She dusted. There was no dust. I couldn't see any dust. And it was not just, okay, let's dust once a week. No, every day. This Mataji probably, she is dusting. Just as a routine. Right? Just as a routine, dusting. So that is an example. The devotees there are always engaged. But sometimes they're going together on a picnic out. They're going on the beach for a picnic sometimes. And Maharaj told me, if you don't have some activities like that, it's very difficult to keep the devotees together, which is true. So it's a kind of a family. And yes, I have seen that, and one goes there, one can feel that's a family, like a family. So sometimes there are some activities. It's not just temple life, 365 days a year. No? Sometimes there are some breaks. They're going together on the beach, on some picnic, some prasadam, bit of kirtan, and that keeps everyone together. So a devotee's mind is always engaged, and as we have read on Wednesday, Ambarish Maharaj, how all his senses were engaged in Krishna's service. If we cannot do that, then we have our mind. You always keep that mind engaged in so many various ways of thinking of Krishna. And if there is, we cannot think anything more of Krishna than we chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So in this way, the devotee's mind becomes steady, just like a flame, like a candle in a windless place. So a transcendentalist, his mind is controlled. He remains steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. Okay, so we could analyze what is that transcendental or transcendent self. Self-realization. What is that self? What do we have to realize? Jivara Svarupaya Nityara Krishna Das. So Nitya Krishna Das, eternal servant of Krishna. And if we want to go deeper and deeper in due course of time, then we have to find out what kind of servant am I? First and foremost, of course, I am the servant of my spiritual master, Śrīla Prabhupāda. We are all servants of Śrīla Prabhupāda, or servants of our Guru Maharaj, who is servant of Śrīla Prabhupāda. So first of all, we are servant of our spiritual master. And then, if we go to higher stages of like Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti, then what are we doing in Goloka? What are we doing what's our meditation? Who are we? What kind of relationship we have? Do we have a relationship in Dasya Ras as a servant to our master? Do we have a relationship in Sakhya Ras as a friend to Krishna? Vatsalya as a parent, and not only parent Yashoda and Nanda Baba, there are other, all the cowherd men and women are basically in Vatsalya Bhav. Because they just feel like parents to Krishna. It's not only Krishna's mother. We have that in the material world as well. When grandma comes or the auntie comes, and they also feel like they are parents to the child. In fact, they very much desiring to have grandchildren, to again play that role of parents. because there's a certain happiness and pleasure in this Vatsalya bhav. So there are millions of gopas, of elderly cowherd men, and elderly gopis also. Or more intimate, then becoming to a relationship of madhurya, of accepting Krishna as our lover. So that will in due course of time, this will manifest. But even then, we will be guided by our spiritual master, who is there in Goloka, in either his Sakha form or in his Manchari form, and we will assist our spiritual master. And when we are completely pure, we will be sent into the womb of a gopi, be born from a gopi in the Bhauma Lila, in the earthly pastime, somewhere in some universe. And then we will get our final training from the Nitya Siddha, the eternal associates of the Lord. They will train us how to serve Krishna. So in Goloka we'll certainly meet our spiritual master, and we will recognize him, and he will introduce us to Krishna. So this is all. Once we come to these stages, we can meditate on it all day, on that relationship. Even if we just meditate, and that is a very safe position. We just, let's say, we feel some attraction to Sakya Ras. So rather than to imagine we are a particular cowherd boy, that is perhaps a little bit too much and can easily go into a sahajya mentality. No. We can meditate of just hiding behind the bushes, behind the tree, and observing the beautiful exchanges with Krishna and his sakhas. The same counts for the other rasas as well. Just an observer. And in due course of time, we are an observer, and suddenly some Saki comes to us. Oh, what are you doing here behind the tree, in the bushes? Come. He takes us by our hand and introduces us to the Sakis and Sakas and gives us some particular type of service. So that is a transcendent self. That's a real transcendent self. Our spiritual identity beyond Nitya Krishna Das, eternal servant of Krishna. But what kind of servant are we? In what is the mood of our service? In what rasa, in what relationship do we want to? And there will be early indications in our devotional life. We have a tendency to Sakya Ras, to Vatsalya Bhav, to Madhurya Bhav. That will manifest in due course of time. We cannot artificially force that. But in due course of time, a kind of greed will awake in us, and we want to know more. Return, Prabhuji, you have just got this beautiful book of Circle of Friends.
What?
Yes, Prabhuji. Today
So,
it arrived.
Read it carefully, and if you find you have some attraction in that direction, so better. Since there are quite a good number of beautiful pastimes described. There is one wonderful soul, Nayanananda Das Thakur. Jayanti Bhai, Hare Krishna. Nayanananda Das Thakur. So are some descriptions and meditations in that book from him, and I have another book which is everything from complete from Nayanananda Das Thakur. So we have to develop a certain greed. We want to hear that will come or will not come, then we are not ready for it. To hear about these pastimes are very, very attractive. These pastimes, very attractive. We want to hear more and more and more. Normally, because our sampradaya is very much, not exclusively, but very much rooted in Madhurya Ras. But Sakhya Ras is also there. But these things are a little bit hidden. In the 10th canto a little bit, and here and there, and we make the connections. And yes. Okay, that is a transcendent self, beyond Nitya Krishna Dasa. So, Śrīla Prabhupāda has a very short purport here. So let's go a little bit further. And I would like to ask you, Rituan Prabhuji, the three verses. Can you read us the Sanskrit? You're so good at it.
Prabhuji, I can read the 3 verses. I'm not good at Sanskrit, but I'll try.
Okay, thank you.
Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yogasevaya yatra chaiva atmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati sukham atyantikam yat tad buddhi grahyam atindriyam veti yatra na chaivayam sthitas chalati tattvata yam labdha cha param labham manyate nadikam tatah yasmin sthito na dukkhena guru napi vichalyate tam vidya dukha samyoga yogam yoga samajnitam.
Translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact.
Jai, what a beautiful verse.
Hare Krishna.
Purport.
Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. By practice of yoga, one becomes gradually detached from material concepts. This is the primary characteristic of yoga principle. And after this, one becomes situated in trance or samadhi, which means that yogi realizes the super soul through transcendental mind and intelligence, without any of the misgivings of identifying the self with the super self. Yoga practice is more or less based on the principle of Patanjali system. Some unauthorized commentators try to identify the individual soul and the super soul, and the monists think this to be liberation, but they do not understand the real purpose of Patanjali system of yoga. There is an acceptance of transcendental transcendental pleasure in the Patanjali system, but the monists do not accept this transcendental pleasure out of fear of jeopardizing the theory of oneness. The duality of knowledge and knower is not accepted by the non-dualist, but in this verse, transcendental pleasure realized through transcendental senses is accepted. And this is corroborated by Patanjali Muni, the famous exponent of yoga system. The great sage declares in the Yoga Sutras, Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam Pratiparshava Kaivalyam Swarupa Pratishtava Chiti Shakti iti. This Chiti Shakti or internal potency is transcendental. Purushartha means material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, at the end attempt to become one with the Supreme. This oneness with the Supreme is also called Kaivalyam by the monist. But according to Patanjali, this Kaivalyam is an internal or transcendental potency by which the living entity becomes aware of his constitutional position. In the words of Lord Chaitanya, this state of affairs is called ceto-darpaṇa-mārjanaṁ, or clearance of the impure mirror of the mind. This clearance is actually liberation, or bhava-mahādāvagni-nirvāpanam. Yes, Prabhuji, can you scroll up?
The theory, can you see that? The theory of
Hare Krishna,
Nirvana.
Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you see
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes, he had some trouble. Huh? We could hear that. Okay, I can carry on reading, or maybe Vijay, you can carry on reading, please. The theory of Nirvana. There we stopped.
All right. The theory of Nirvana also preliminarily corresponds with this principle. In the Bhagavad 2.10.6, this is called Sarapana Vayata Shurtoi Vayasa Shurtiha
Vyavastiti.
Vyashtiti. The Bhagavad Gītā also confirms this situation in this verse. After nirvana or material cessation, there is the manifestation of spiritual activities or devotional service to the Lord, known as Kṛṣṇa consciousness. In the words of the Bhagavatam, Sarupana Vayavta Shittiti, this is the real life of the living entity, Maya or illusion, the condition of spiritual life contaminated by material infection. Liberation from this material infection does not mean destruction of the original eternal position of the living entity. Patanjali also accepts this by his words. Kaivalyam Sarupa Pratishta Va Chiti Saktir Iti. This Siddhi Shakti, or transcendental pleasure is real life. This is confirmed in Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12 as Ananda Maya Bhayashat. This natural transcendental pleasure is the ultimate goal of yoga and is easily achieved by execution of devotional service or bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga will be vividly described later, beginning in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gītā. In the yoga system, as described in this chapter, there are two kinds of samadhi called samprajanata samadhi and asamprajanata samadhi. When one becomes situated in the transcendental position by various philosophical researches, he is said to have achieved samprajanata samadhi. In the asamprajanata samadhi, there is no longer any connection with mundane pleasure, for one is then transcendental to all sorts of happiness derived from the senses. When the yogi is once situated in that transcendental position, he is never shaken from it. Unless the yogi is able to reach this position, he isn't successful. Today's so-called yoga practice, which involves various sense pleasures, is contradictory. A yogi indulging in sex and intoxication is a mockery. Even those yogis who are attracted by the siddhis, perfections in the process of yoga, are not perfectly situated. If the yogis are attracted by the byproducts of yoga, then they cannot attain the stage of perfection, as stated in this verse. Persons, therefore, indulging in the make-show practice of gymnastic feats or siddhis should know that the aim of yoga is lost in that way. The best practice of yoga in this age is Kṛṣṇa consciousness, which is not baffling. A Kṛṣṇa conscious person is so happy in his occupation that he does not aspire after any other happiness. There are many impediments, especially in this age of hypocrisy, to practicing Hatha yoga, dhyana yoga, and jnana yoga, but there is no such problem in executing karma yoga or bhakti yoga. As long as the material body exists, one has to meet the demands of the body, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. But a person who is in pure bhakti yoga or in Kṛṣṇa consciousness does not arouse the senses while meeting the demands of the body. Rather, he accepts the bare necessities of life, making the best use of a bad bargain, and enjoys transcendental happiness in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. He is callous towards incidental occurrences such as accidents, disease, scarcity, and even death of a most dear relative. But he is always alert to execute his duties in Kṛṣṇa consciousness or bhakti yoga. Accidents never deviate him from his duty. He stated, as stated in the Bhagavad Gītā 2:14, agam apai yainto nitras titakshasva titikashva bharata. He enjoys all such incidental occurrences because he knows that they come and go and do not affect his duties. In this way, he achieves the highest perfection in yoga practice.
Jai, Hare Krishna. What was so a short purport of the previous verse, we're getting here an awful lot. Oh, backwards to front. That's a very important statement. A person who is in pure bhakti, that means pure devotional service, or in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, does not arouse the senses while meeting the demands of the body. So we have to engage the senses because these are the demands of the body. The body demands that we're seeing, we're hearing, we're touching, we're tasting, we're smelling. So these are the demands of the body. We have to meet those demands. But while an ordinary person in material consciousness, while meeting the demands of the body, his or her senses are aroused to enjoy sense gratification. The senses, we know that, everybody knows that. the senses are very easily aroused. Easily. In one moment. So we become all excited for some sense pleasure. But that we don't want that. We want the enjoyment of Kṛṣṇa and not our independent enjoyment of this material energy, which many times we spoke about it, which is not ours to enjoy. We are thieves if we take Kṛṣṇa's energy, Kṛṣṇa's objects of sight, of sound, of touch, of taste. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to Kṛṣṇa. We just take it for granted. It's for us. And people say, God has given us all this to enjoy. So quoting even some Bible verses, to dominate over every, I have given you. Bible says, I have given you, God says, I have given you dominion over everything, over every living entity and plants and everything. I have given you dominion. But for 2,000 years people have misunderstood. Dominion means I dominate. I dominate. I can exploit. God has given us this earth to exploit, to kill the animals, to eat them, to exploit the resources of this world in so many other ways. But that's not what dominion means. The king or queen has dominion over his or her subjects. Does that mean the king or queen is killing the subjects? Or perhaps even eating them? No. Dominion means to protect. So what God says in the Bible is actually means I have given you this world and nature and the animals and the plants and insects and fish and aquatics to protect them. To protect them. And for your own nourishment I have given you grains and fruit and vegetables and so many nice gifts of nature, but we must always remember who it belongs to. Not forgetting that, who it belongs to. People nowadays are forgetting. So ordinary people, they don't make any connection. Where is it coming from? Or it's coming from the supermarket. Or it's coming from McDonald's. And they don't think any further. No, it's not coming from McDonald's. There was a cow. There was a cow who wanted to live like we want to live and not being slaughtered in most horrible circumstances and ways and being eaten for our nourishment. These are not foods for human consumption. It is very clearly in Shastra what we can eat. So, but here we're speaking of gratitude. At least we should, whatever we use to maintain our body, to meeting the demands of the body. The body is demanding, of course. The body is very demanding. After a few hours of not eating, the belly is demanding, feed me, feed me. I mean, we're getting such a hunger, which is very difficult to resist. The belly says, feed me, I'm hungry. That's a demand of the body. But the other senses too. The eyes are saying, I want to see something nice. I want to experience some happiness, to some seeing some form, light, colors, and so on. So all the senses are demanding, and we have to fulfill the demand of the senses. But the trick of a Krishna conscious person, he can fulfill the demand of the senses. Everybody has his demands, the materialist and the spiritualist. But the spiritualist, he can fulfill, he can meet the demands of his body without arousing the senses. How does that work? Why? Because he is immediately conscious to whom it belongs, to whom that food belongs, to whom these objects belongs of sight, to whom these objects for the ears of sound, of taste, of touch. It's not ours. We haven't created the objects of the senses. It's Krishna's. If you're forgetting that, then immediately we fall into sense gratification and will be punished. Just like the example we have given many times of the neighbor's car. If we just take it and have a ride around, a joyride around town, we'll be punished. It's theft, because we have forgotten to who it belongs. We're thinking, oh, God has given that to me. This beautiful Lamborghini in the neighbor's driveway with a key in the ignition, and the door is wide open, so inviting. Oh, it's for me. It's for me. No, it belongs to the neighbor. We have to ask his permission. So whatever we want to enjoy in this material world, we have to ask the permission of the Lord. At least, the least we have to do is remembering to who it belongs with feeling of gratitude. Thank you, my Lord. And we do that when we chanting our Sayera Vidyachala Dandriyataika. Thank you, O Lord. You have given us this wonderful prasadam just to control our tongue. And that's very wonderful. If we offer the food first, we make that little yagya, that little sacrifice, that little offering, conscious offering. It saves us from lusting over the food and devouring the food just in pursuit of the pleasure from our senses, which is degrading, which is abominable. Everything what we do in this world, we have to connect to Kṛṣṇa. Be grateful for what he is so kindly provided. How we show that gratefulness? By first offering it to him, and then taking the remnants of that yagya. That's a way, that's a civilized way. And in that way, because Kṛṣṇa is involved, our senses will not get aroused. That's a trick, that's a secret. As even if the senses are aroused by accident, something we have seen, heard, tasted, touched, then bringing Kṛṣṇa within our mind, immediately that arousal of the senses will stop instantly. It will stop, because Kṛṣṇa is a purifying agent. And that everything else, not Kṛṣṇa, is just an illusion. It's just like the magician on the stage. He does some wonderful things. If we are a spectator, we can only shake our heads. Suddenly a dove, a bird is coming out of his hat, and so many other things. That's illusion, magic. But we are completely taken in by that. But if someone explains to us how that magic is actually done, how it is done to trick the audience, then immediately the effect of the illusion is gone. We're not illusioned anymore. Next time we see that trick, it's not, oh, how wonderful it was. Oh, I know how that is done. In a very unillusioned, disillusioned way, in very down to earth, we see so many tricks. Oh, I know how that is done. Oh, I know how he's doing that. With his hand, he's doing like this and like that. So the illusion can only exist if we are in ignorance. If we know what is behind the illusion, and that is Kṛṣṇa, then immediately the illusion is destroyed. That's how it practically works, of bringing Kṛṣṇa into everything. The material illusion, Maya, will be dismantled immediately. Of course, sometimes that illusory effect is very strong. Then Śrīla Prabhupāda recommends you chant Hare Krishna, and if that illusory effect is just really catching up, then chant louder Hare Krishna, to bring the consciousness back to our original position. So that's a very important point. A Krishna conscious person, a Bhakti yogi, he will meet the demand of the senses in a regulated way, and it will not arouse the senses because he is conscious of Kṛṣṇa. Then Śrīla Prabhupāda speaks a bit about the yogis, the yogic siddhis, perfections, laghimā, animā, and so on, becoming smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest, heavy or very light. All these are yogic perfections, and I've many times told that story of that boy in the village with his friends. At one point in his young age, he said, I will go into the world. I want to learn some great things. So he went. All the other boys stayed in the village and did their duties of farming and whatever they did. So that boy who left the village, he went all the way to Himalayas and was living with yogis, and they taught him how to the yoga process, how to become lighter than the lightest. So they taught him how to, that was very austere practice. For 20, 30 years he had to practice. How to walk on water. It's a mystic perfection, a yoga siddhi. These yoga siddhis coming to the yogi as a byproduct. It's not the end goal. If we take the yoga siddhis as an end goal to just impress innocent people, then we have failed to reach the goal of yoga. So he mastered the art of how to become lighter than the lightest and walk on water. This siddhi was also practiced by Jesus Christ, Lord Jesus Christ. There is in the Bible, there are some description where his disciples were on a boat on the lake of Galilee, and there from the distance there came Jesus walking over the water. So he could walk over the water. So that boy had learned how to walk on the water, and then he was happy he had mastered some siddhi. And he thought, I will go back to my village and show my friends what I've accomplished. He felt he had a great accomplishment. Also, as just explained, that's not it's a failure. It's a byproduct. That's not the end of yoga. He failed to come to the proper conclusion of yoga, which is to become liberated from this material energy and engage in devotional service. He didn't do that. He stopped the process once he had the siddhis. because in the end he only wanted something to show off. There are many yogis who want to show off their siddhis. And the innocent, general people are very much impressed. And they worship him as God. If someone can walk on water, or people, oh, he must be God. Little knowledge they have what is God and who is God. So he came back to the village and, oh, our friend has come back. Where have you been? And. What have you accomplished? He said, I can walk over the water. And they were impressed, really? Can you show us? So he went to the other side of the village lake, and then he walked over towards them, over the water. They clapped, some clapped a little bit, and then he asked one boy, what do you think? I've spent 20, 30 years of learning this mystic siddhi, yogic siddhi, with great austerities. My yoga master taught me that. What do you think it's worth? He was expecting something that's worth the whole world, basically. And one boy said, well, I think it's worth 20 paisa. That's very little money. 20 paisa. He said, what? You think I spent 30 years of my life in rigorous yoga practice, and you telling me all what I have achieved is 20 paisa? Why you think like that? Then the boy explained. Well, you walking over the water, and if I get the boatman to drive me over the water, then it costs 20 paisa. So therefore, it's worth 20 paisa. So that's the point. These are byproducts of yoga. And we should not be puzzled. Or as Śrīla Prabhupāda says, indulging in the make-show practice of gymnastic feats or siddhis, one should know that the aim of yoga is lost in that way. The aim of yoga is lost. So that was that. Then, towards the beginning of the purport, Śrīla Prabhupāda speaks about the transcendental mind and intelligence, or we could say the spiritual mind and intelligence. Mind is there, intelligence is there, but not many know that the mind and intelligence can be spiritualized. So there is a material mind, and there is a spiritual mind, and a material intelligence and a spiritual intelligence. Does it mean we're growing another brain? No, of course not. But the focus is different. If the focus of our mind is on the material energy for sense enjoyment without Kṛṣṇa, then that is a material mind. And that very same mind is fixed on Kṛṣṇa, always thinking of Kṛṣṇa, worshipping Kṛṣṇa, and so many other activities in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, then that mind is spiritualized by putting Kṛṣṇa into the equation. And that's a spiritual mind that we want to achieve. We want to spiritualize our mind, same with the intelligence. Material intelligence is seeking out how we can have the maximum of sense pleasure, which, on top of all of it, it appears so desirable, but at the end it's not even enjoyable. It always ends in disappointment. Anyone who has some experience of material life will attest to it always ends up in disappointment. Or as Śrīla Prabhupāda says, in one of his purports, we agree to be disappointed in the hope for happiness. So that happiness which everyone is after, that happiness of sense enjoyment, of sense pleasure, it's only a hope. It's not a reality. The reality is that it always ends in disappointment. Always. Sooner or later. Sometimes sooner, sometimes later. So, that statement, we agree to be disappointed, or we agree to suffer. We know we will suffer, but maybe, perhaps maybe, this time it will work. I can really enjoy without disappointment. Because that is we thinking, also not we, but the materialistic person, or perhaps we sometimes also, we're thinking, I have been engaged in some pursuit in this material world for my sense pleasure. It didn't work out. Maybe I did it wrong. So I make some adjustment. Maybe this time it will work out. And again, disappointment. Okay, make another adjustment. Maybe this time. Maybe this time. So that we do. We will always be disappointed, but we hope. Hope against hope. We hope for happiness. It's just like someone plays the lottery. He doesn't win. He plays it his whole life. He doesn't win, but he doesn't stop playing the lottery because he thinks, maybe this time I will be lucky. And then it becomes an addiction. Maybe this time. It is everything. It's that lottery is going with all the senses. Maybe this time I will derive full satisfaction through a sense enjoyment. So that is transcendental mind and transcendental intelligence. We have to train the mind to be focused on Kṛṣṇa. We have to train the intelligence. So intelligence, the material intelligence, is trying to find out how to enjoy the most, how to cheat others, to squeeze out some enjoyment for us. Spiritual intelligence is also looking for the best way, but the best way to advance in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. The same intelligence, one is directed towards our selfish desires without Kṛṣṇa, and the other intelligence is directed of making spiritual progress, because we have enough shraddha, enough faith that we know if I engage in that Kṛṣṇa conscious process, I will become truly happy without disappointment. And then Śrīla Prabhupāda also warns us, without any of the misgivings of identifying the self with the super self. That may sound like, how is that possible? For someone who is trained in Kṛṣṇa consciousness and devotional service, it's very difficult to think of, I will identify myself with the super self. I am that Paramatma. Actually, I am God. I am Kṛṣṇa. It's very difficult for a devotee to conceive even someone could think like that. But people do think like that. A certain type of people do think like that. The impersonalists. Brahman, Brahman, Brahman. The yogis. Paramatma. And then at one point, I am that Paramatma. So that is a trap to identify the self with the super self. Let's look at the verse a little bit more in itself. Śrīla Prabhupāda, Kṛṣṇa says at the end of the verse that yogic position described in this verse is actual freedom from the miseries arising from material contact. So very clearly, Lord Krishna says, by material consciousness, that material contact in pursuit of sense enjoyment is leading to miseries. Or to speak of the karma involved, it's another misery. Or we could call it karma, yes. So a perfect yogi is free from the miseries arising from material contact. He has contact, but all that contact is spiritualized because the focus is on Krishna. So everything is spiritualized. No more material contact, only spiritual contact. Okay, there's much more to be said, but let's ask, anyone wants to ask some question. Questions. Ritual, Prabhu. Any question, Ritual, Prabhu? Vijay, any question?
Yeah, this is the yoga practice. The siddhis. I think there's a type of yoga practice in India. I think it's called Kriya Yoga.
Yeah.
But, yeah. That involves I think they get initiated. I think they have to have a guru. I think it's I think they have a guru, and I think the purpose of that guru is that this is what they say. They say that they purify the body of the disciple, and they kind of enable the fluid in the spine to rise, the kundalini, they say. So without that, no advancement is possible. So, and they go into like a meditation state. I think they concentrate on the space between the eyes or something. It's a third eye, I think. And the purpose of that is that they it's like I think the Sanskrit word is kutasha. Kutasha. I think it's like a cave. It's like a place between the eyebrows where they must hold their mind for as long as possible. So they're actually using their mind, holding their mind there. So they're taking the mind to a place, but you can't control the mind. It's very difficult to control the mind in this time and age. So it's at some stage they're going to have a thought. So my question is that in this day and age, does meditation work? Because it's very difficult to calm the mind, because it's at some stage it's going to kind of have a thought, or it's going to yes, it's very difficult. So any meditation state is very difficult to achieve. So is that really possible? Is my question.
Okay, thank you very much. Yoga. So different yogas, Hatha Buddhi, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. These are very difficult to practice in this day and age, because actually the yogi has to go in a secluded place, very secluded place, in the forest, not staying with family, and certainly not engage in gratification of the senses. That makes a mockery of yoga. That's not yoga. Those are so many. Yeah, meditation. We do also meditation. Japa meditation. That's the best meditation. This meditation which you just explained, I have done that long time, 50, 60 years ago. I tried that, sitting in an asana, Padmanasana. And Kṛṣṇa explains it also in Bhagavad Gītā. The curtain is open, Kṛṣṇa will not eat.
No, I'm not finished.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Kṛṣṇa explains that in Bhagavad Gītā. We have come just not so long ago on that verse. The yogi sits in a straight position, keep his posture erect, half closing his eyes, not full closing, otherwise he falls asleep, not fully open, otherwise he will be distracted by sight, half closed, staring on the tip of the nose. Again, why staring on the tip of the nose? To control the mind, not the mind. If we staring on anything else, then we'll be distracted. So that's one yoga practice. Does it work? From my personal experience, not really. In one sense, yes, one gets calm. It calms the mind. And then we do some slow breathing exercises. That is all. It calms the senses. But what then? That's not the end, so just to calm the senses. Calming the senses is automatically achieved if the senses are engaged in Krishna's service. Calming the senses means withdrawing the senses, the eyes from sight, withdrawing the touch, sound. Therefore the yogi. One moment. Therefore the yogi goes to a secluded place in the forest. So he's not distracted by sound, unnecessary sound, unnatural sound. So that helps to calm the mind. But then what? When the mind is calmed, is that the end stage? No, it's not. So, for devotees, that is automatically achieved. The mind is calmed because the senses are withdrawn from material pursuits and the senses are focused on pleasing Kṛṣṇa. So just by devotional practice and devotional engagement and chanting Hare Krishna and thinking of Kṛṣṇa, speaking about Kṛṣṇa, hearing about Kṛṣṇa, reading about Kṛṣṇa, offering prasadam to Kṛṣṇa, and engaging the senses in the service of Kṛṣṇa in that way, included, Kṛṣṇa is included, thinking of Kṛṣṇa. That's a chief, man mana bhava mat bhakto. Always think of me. So the mind is immediately calmed. The senses are not aroused. So, back to your question, does that really work? No, that's not generally. For a few, they may progress on that path, but that is generally not possible in this day and age. Well, can you go into the forest? Where is the forest? There's no forest here. To go into the jungle in India, who can do that? Go in the Himalayas. Completely, we may think, oh, that's nice, I want to go to the Himalayas and meditate. That's a nice thought, but when it comes to it, you get your ticket, one-way ticket to India, go walk in the Himalayas, sit there. What are you going to eat? What are you going to drink? How are you going to cover your body? And then, I mean, it's just like that young fellow who just thought like that. I get away from this world. I go to the Himalayas. Get away from it all. This world is causing me so much trouble. So I go up in the mountains and I meditate. And then he finds out, he actually goes. And while sitting there to meditate, you get away from everything. You think, now I can be peaceful. He has taken the damsels of this world within his mind to the Himalayas. They're disturbing him. The mind, previous samskaras, they're disturbing him. So he has taken that material sense enjoyment to his meditational environment in the Himalayas. Though it's not the solution. We cannot run away. That's a runaway situation. We cannot run away from this material world. Although we would like to run away. We don't want our senses in contact with the material energy, because by experience we have found out it's always ending in disappointment. So all what is needed is changing the focus of the senses towards Kṛṣṇa. Even imperfectly, bit by bit by bit. And as we keep on practicing, bringing Kṛṣṇa within our environment, within our mind, within our thoughts and sight and taste and touch, and then by that contact with Kṛṣṇa, our senses actually get purified. How does it work? How does it work? Because this sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is not a material sound. It looks like a material sound. It may even sound like a material sound. But it's a vibration coming directly from the spiritual sphere. It's a spiritual sound. So that is purifying us, just like sunlight, particularly in hotter countries like India. The sun can purify dirty places. It can sterilize dirty places. Places where people defecate, places where people urinate. If the sun wouldn't be so powerful, then there would be disease everywhere. But the sun is purifying, the strong sun is purifying all the dirty places. The sun is not getting contaminated. So that's the power of the sun. So Kṛṣṇa is 1,000,000 billion times more powerful than the sun. Therefore, why, when Kṛṣṇa is present within our mind, he can purify all this nasty samskaras, all this nasty impression we have for many, many lifetimes. It does work. Perhaps we don't see it so easily. Just like our own children. We are with our own children when they're small, day after day after day after day. We don't really perceive how they're growing up. But when so Auntie, after a few years, comes back and visits us and looks at the small children, she says, "Oh dear, they have grown so big," because she is not in constant contact. So she really is surprised how tall they have grown. So it's the same with us. It is sometimes difficult to see our spiritual progress. But others will see our spiritual progress. Easier for others to see how we're spiritually progressing. And you yourself, you are spiritually progressing. I can see that. I remember all these conversations we had years and years and years ago. So now, you're chanting Hare Krishna. You're not asking Krishna anymore, why doesn't he fulfill my material desires? That's gone out of your mind. More or less, at least. So purification has taken place. And if you engage in that chanting process, it has worked so far and it will work even more. It may take some time. Like Śrīla Prabhupāda told that devotee who asked him, can I also become a pure devotee? And Śrīla Prabhupāda said, yes, why not? You are in the process. You engage in the process. This Krishna consciousness is a process. And then he said, but it may take some time. Because we are so contaminated from so many births. We have tried to enjoy our senses. We have focused on the material energy. We have tried to selfishly enjoy without Krishna, and it never worked. But these impressions, these samskaras are there, in the citta, in the consciousness, in the mind. They're there. But they can be purified by this process of Bhakti Yoga and Krishna consciousness. Gradually, like Śrīla Prabhupāda explains in the verse, ceto-darpaṇa-mārjanaṁ. Let's have a look at that verse. Śrīla Prabhupāda quotes it in his purport. Lord Chaitanya spoke that verse. Ceto-darpaṇa-mārjanaṁ bhava-mahādavagni-nirvāpanam Śrīya Kṛṣṇa vidharanam vidyavāduchīvanam ananda buddhivartanam pratipadam purnam rishtasvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vichayate Śrī Kṛṣṇa sankirtanam. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. The mirror of the heart. If a mirror is dirty, dusty, we cannot see ourselves properly in that mirror. But once we clean that mirror, then we can see our reflection, our image very clearly. So there is a mirror in the heart which can be cleansed, and then we can see our real self. So this will stop the blazing fire of material existence. Material existence is compared to a blazing fire. Why? Because it burns. Our lusty desires in this world, it burns because we never find any satisfaction. We're trying to satisfy our senses, but real satisfaction of the heart we don't achieve. We achieve just some what shall we call it? Some material excitement, some arousal of the senses. That's all. But not satisfaction. If our senses would be satisfied, then, okay, now I'm satisfied for the rest of my life. I have seen what I always hankered for, materially. I have tasted what I always hankered for. I have touched what I hankered for. I've smelled what I hankered for. I've heard what I hankered for. Okay, satisfied. I don't need to run after something new to hear, something new to see, to touch, to taste, to smell. No. We're constantly running and running and running after, like an animal runs in the desert, seeing a mirage of water, a thirsty animal, and he gets more and more exhausted and said, water, that mirage in the desert is never arriving until the animal dies a miserable death. You're running deeper and deeper into the desert. So, therefore, we also running behind what we hope will satisfy our senses, but it doesn't. Therefore, it burns like fire. We're running behind something, we can never really achieve it. Therefore, it is here explained, it's like a blazing fire of material existence. Then Lord Caitanya carries on. Said chanting is a waxing moon. So moon getting bigger and bigger. That spreads a white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. What a poetic language. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Kṛṣṇa expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. Anandam buddhivardhanam, the ever-expanding blissful ocean of transcendental life. So Krishna consciousness is always expanding. That's miraculously. It's never stagnant. It's always new and fresh. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar at every step. So that's a beautiful verse, a cooling effect for everyone. We're tasting full nectar at every step. So we want that nectar. We after that nectar, that spiritual nectar, not that material nectar which burns like fire. Okay, does that answer your question, Vijay?
Yes, that's a very nice explanation. You mentioned something about the ocean. Brought to my mind just one other thing. The human form. So we have human body. So it's like a nice boat. It's described in
yes, very suitable boat.
Yeah, it's a suitable boat to cross over this ocean of ignorance. So the guru is the captain or the pilot of the ship or the boat, and the sastras or the reading, and it's like a wind. It's like the favorable wind. It's the wind that carries you. Yeah.
You're reading very nicely.
Yeah, and then so you're going nicely in this direction, and your boat is being pushed along. But then the question arises. It came to my mind that like the spiritual master is saying that is directing, says do it like this. You've got a very nice boat, and you keep on plying the boat, rowing the meaning that you're using the oar, you're rowing the boat in that direction. And master is saying it's very nice, but then the ocean is very big in the material world. It's just like very large. It's just like the sky. Look how big the sky is. So we have to cross over this material sky, penetrate the covering, and then go into the spiritual sky. So it's quite a difficult journey or very vast journey to undertake. So my question was that even if you have the expert tuition of the instruction of the guru or the captain or the pilot, even like the Titanic, for example, the Titanic was unsinkable, they say, and it had a captain on board. Even when the boat was unsinkable and had a captain on board, the Titanic still sunk. So my question is that even when you're rowing this boat, you have to be very careful that you don't let the boat doesn't submerged or water doesn't come in and the boat can measure the water at any moment unless you're very careful, very careful. So my question is that even if you have the captain in your boat, can the water still come and sink the boat? is the question.
Okay, Śrīla Prabhupāda,
Yeah.
he said to his disciples, and that's after that we'll have to finish. Lord Kṛṣṇa has eaten. So Śrīla Prabhupāda, he says, stay on the boat. That boat will reach the other side, guaranteed. You might get wet on the boat, but stay on the boat. Don't think, oh, I'm getting wet. Some wave comes. That has sometimes happened on a boat. A big wave goes over the boat. You get wet. Oh no, that boat is sinking. Let me jump into the ocean. That will not help you. Stay on the boat. We must have set faith in the captain, which is Śrīla Prabhupāda. We stay on the boat. We might get wet, but we know that boat will reach the other shore of the ocean. Guaranteed. So we have to develop and we have to cultivate that faith in Śrīla Prabhupāda. Then, if we can fully surrender to Śrīla Prabhupāda, then we have no problem. He is so close to Kṛṣṇa, so close we cannot even imagine how close he is to Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa, if Śrīla Prabhupāda will recommend one of us, then Kṛṣṇa will accept. There is no question. So that transcendental boat. There is a beautiful verse. Samashrita ye pada palavaplavam mahatpatam punya murare bhavam buddhir vatsapatam parampadam padam padam navipatam natesham. Those who have taken shelter of the boat of the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa, for them that material ocean, you described so nicely, that huge ocean that will shrink in an instant to the size of the water contained in a hoof print of a calf. Now how big is that hoof print of, not even a cow, which has a bigger hoof print, a calf, a young calf, a small hoof print, that big material ocean which seems to be impossible to cross over, it will shrink to that little puddle in the hoof print of a calf, which we can easily step over to the other side. So, yes, stay on the boat. Guaranteed, that boat will liberate us from all material miseries. And here we stop. We can cultivate that faith in Śrīla Prabhupāda. We can cultivate that by associating with those who have that faith, and by hearing and reading Śrīla Prabhupāda's books, and by praying to him. If we develop some relationship with Śrīla Prabhupāda, if we develop some love for Śrīla Prabhupāda, then that will carry us all the way over this material ocean which seems to be insurmountable. Okay, I hope that answered your question. We have to stop here, Vijay.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a nice explanation. Nice.
Okay, thank you very much. Find that verse. Search for it.
Yeah.
Samashrita ye pada palavaplavam. Okay, I'll tell you where to find it. Read it. Give me a second. Okay. Here it is. It's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, text 58.
Right, okay.
The actual translation goes like that. For those who have accepted the abode of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is a shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon. The ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoof print. The goal is Parampadam, Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. This material world, there is danger at every step. So, Vaikuntha, free from anxiety. Okay, here we stop. Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Vaishnav Mataji. Thank you, Jayanti Bhai. See you on Wednesday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.